Hey everyone. Good afternoon. How you doing? Cold. My son just tried to go outside with shorts on and I made him put pants on. I said it's 48 degrees. It's like Michigan in the winter. Let's turn some cameras on. Let's greet each other. Say hello. Say hello. Thank you. Hi Koji. Hi Jonah. Hi everyone. More cameras. More cameras. Let's see. Who haven't I seen lately? Ben, you're outside. Good thing you got a coat on. Hi, Dante. All right. So, we have various things happening today. We're going to talk about, we're going to talk a little bit about the sources you read last class. And make some connections to other aspects of our curriculum. We're going to do a little primer or sort of foundation on adolescent brain development. And then you are going to have an opportunity to do some asynchronous work on ways you can kind of care for yourself and care for your own happiness. And I know that that might sound a little cheesy, but we're all going through this hard time together. We really are. We're isolated. We're not as active as we've been. It's the winter. There's a lot of unknowns and questions. And I think when you look at these sources, I think you'll see that in some ways we go back to basics and we just kind of cut ourselves some slack and care for ourselves a little bit and tell ourselves it's going to be okay. And you can get a lot of positive aim from some simple things. And that's what we're going to do today. In the other classes, I did a poll. In third period, I did a poll because we were talking about how there's a lot of unknowns with school reopening. We don't know. There's not a set plan yet for how that will happen, and it might be different for little kids and different for older kids, and there's just unknowns, and so that causes uncertainty sometimes. So I did a poll about how the class was feeling. It was anonymous. Do you want to do it? You want to try it? It was my first ever Zoom poll. So if I screw it up, I'm sorry, but I don't think I'll screw it up. All right, so the question, let me launch it. The question is, right now, do you feel safe returning to school in person? 3 responses, they're all anonymous. Yes, no, I'm unsure. Every response is valid. However you feel right now, you feel. You're not held to it forever. What are you thinking? So not quite everybody has responded yet. It's pretty similar to what I saw in my other classes. In the other classes, there's a little bit higher yes. Yeah, this is getting more. In the other classes, about 20, 40, 40. So this one's a little different. It's more like 20, 54, 33. Again, however you feel about this is completely valid. It's just we're all living through this weird time. Some people, I think, feel like I just need the interaction. I just need to be social. I just need to be back. Or learning in Zoom is too hard. And some people are like, it doesn't feel safe. There's questions about the variant. There's also potentially positive changes around the corner with the vaccine. There's just a lot to take in right now and a lot to have to just deal with, and for no fault of your own. We're all living through this time where we don't have control of a lot of things. And I think that's why caring for yourself and thinking about mental health and coping strategies is a really important thing to do.
Are you going to show us the responses?
Oh, you can't see them?
No.
Oh. So they didn't tell me that in the other class, and I'm sitting here like blabbing on about them. Let me see how I show. If I share my screen, can you see them if I share my screen? Can you see them right now? I see a little box. Can you see it?
I can see little boxes.
Okay. I don't know. It just says end poll. I'm sorry. Here, I'll write them in the chat. This is definitely a scam call, so I'm ignoring it, by the way. Okay.
The only people who call me are scammers. Nobody else calls me.
I know. Same. I feel you. Okay.
Hey Jonah, maybe I can call you later
Yeah, call him and say hi, Jim.
if you have Discord.
What it said was yes. Oh, here, I'll type them in. Yes, 19%. No, 52%. Unsure, 36%. Of course, this is an unscientific, impromptu poll. You know, this isn't binding. Yeah, it's similar to what I saw earlier in the day. Yeah. They didn't tell me they couldn't see it, though. Okay. So, Miss Shelley Ball, she's our mental health coordinator, and the IHS teachers met with her yesterday after school because as we engage in this, I think, really crucially important study of mental health and coping strategies, it's all the more necessary to get it right because of this time we're living through, because I know that mental health struggles are very real. And so we were asking Shelley for sort of pointers, or what do you think is the biggest message to get across? And she said a few things that I think are worth repeating. One thing she said is that she hopes that everybody remembers you're going through this time that many people across the country are going through. I heard yesterday on the news that 40% of all public school kids in the US are learning virtually. So almost half of every kid in this country is doing online learning. And even the ones who aren't, like my nephew, two of my nephews go to different schools that are in hybrid, but they only go to school twice a week. It's not for very many hours. They still do a lot of Zoom. So everybody's in this really, really different thing right now. And remember that all the grown-ups know that, and they're going to know that for years to come. So for example, if you're getting stressed about grades, or if you're getting stressed about your resume or your transcript or whatever, I know it's easier said than done, try to let that go a little bit, because everyone is going to know when you were a freshman in high school, you were going through this crazy pandemic and school wasn't the same and expectations couldn't have been the same, even if they were graded like they were. Everyone's going to know that. They've even gotten rid of SAT requirements for a couple of years at least for the UCs. So just cut yourself some slack. We will hope that you're setting goals and achieving them and moving forward in positive ways, but please give yourself a break a little bit when it comes to being asked to do really hard things and being thrown into a situation you had no control over, and just kind of doing your best. Another thing that I wanted to say is here. There's a couple of comments in the chat. Let's respond to them. So Ben is saying that the virus is worse than ever. It's true, and there's this variant that's apparently prevalent in LA, maybe not here yet, but there's just a lot of that tells us there's a lot of unknowns. Now, I will say there are some good metrics coming out that the ICU capacity in the Bay Area is better than it had been. Our adjusted case rate is still pretty bad, but it's not as bad as it had been. So that stuff is good. Someone wrote privately, what if a few hours of school makes it more difficult for people living far away? So everyone will, no matter what happens, get an option to be virtual, to remain virtual. I think about that with my own children, because I think I've told you before, I live in Crockett, so I don't live right around the corner from their elementary school. And that would be hard for us as well. I think there's a half-hour travel time built into the schedule, the proposed schedule. It's not a finite, definite schedule, but the proposed schedule for elementary. And if I'm teaching remotely and my kids have a half hour to get to school, I don't know how to pull that off. I understand what you're saying. We have lots of out-of-district kids. So I rest assured everyone's going to get an education. It just might look different for different people. And really, we don't know. They haven't made any decisions yet about a return. And so the conversation continues. They talked about it at the school board meeting last night, just essentially saying that the conversation continues, and safety for everyone, and health, mental health, and it's all important and matters. But certainly reach out to administrators, to your own student school board reps if you want to be part of that conversation. All right. So Shelley Ball said, 1, cut yourself some slack when it comes to academics, even though, of course, we're not saying don't try as much as you're able. but cut yourself some slack. And 2, she said, remind you that not only are we all going through this thing together, but that also it is extraordinarily common to feel, to experience symptoms of depression and anxiety when you're young. And that doesn't mean it's just like a life sentence. It doesn't mean it will always be this way. It is a common thing that a lot of people experience and move through in life. And we're going to get to some of that with brain development today. Any questions or comments before I move ahead? So I will share my screen. You were talking about before?
You see the rock path?
Yes, I think so.
That
Yeah.
was put in there like 2 days ago,
Nice. Did you do it?
along with the help of my dad, and all of the rocks were free.
That's awesome. And they're big too. Where'd you get them? How were they free?
American Rock and Soil, there's like this giant crate that like had a bunch of free rocks that were probably break-offs from other rocks, but they still were pretty good quality for rocks.
That's really
that were
cool.
free.
Nice job. Were they heavy to move?
Some of them are heavier than others, but it's not like they're very heavy. It's just...
You guys know what? We should do this since you showed us the outside. In my 3rd period class, one time a long time ago, like 2 months ago, my kids were interrupting me. And so I said, hold on, I'm going to send them on a scavenger hunt. And I wrote a quick list of things to find outside. And then after that, a couple different times, students have said, here's what you should put on the list. So today, out of the blue, this kid in my 3rd period writes me in the chat, and he's like, here's what you should tell your kids to find. And it was just simple. It was 2 unusual sticks, 1 smooth rock, and something gross. And I wrote it down and gave it to the kid. They ran off. Then we did our class. Then at the end of class, they brought it in. And it was really funny. I was showing them on Zoom. One of the sticks was like huge. It was like this tall. And plus it had fungus all over it. So they said it counted as something gross. It was kind of funny. If we have to be stuck in this computer screen sort of life, we should do some stuff like that. Like, I could send you on a scavenger hunt. Like,
At least make it fun.
Yeah.
Because
I could send you, like, find something
never
yellow or
Power-
whatever. You could go get it. Give me a thumbs up if you ever want to do that. Like an old school kid scavenger hunt on Zoom. Okay, maybe we could do it next week. All right. So we're gonna do a pear deck. I am placing the link right here. Oh, before I do, the finals, I just started going through them. In fact, Adrian, I just read yours right before class. It was really great to read because it was different than a lot of other things I saw. So thanks for that selection. There are a couple of people I need to follow up with. The grades are due Thursday night in terms of your semester grade, but if for whatever reason you didn't complete the final project, it's going to impact your score. And I'm going to send private chats to a couple of people in class. I'll take it still, certainly, but we need to get it done. It's just, I think, 2-3 people that I'll be sending private chats to, okay? Everybody else, everything should be updated by this evening. Okay, here's the Pear Deck link. And let me open it up. There it is. So please join when you're able. I'm just going to jump ahead. The link is in the chat. I'm going to jump ahead to where we're at, which is here. Bum, 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 the adolescent brain. And note in the upper left corner, 57 bus, we're all done. We need it back at school. When you're able, you don't have to rush there, but if you could do it this week, next week, that would be great. Remember, they're checked out in your name. You'll just go to the book room. Please remember to go alone or socially distance and wear a mask. It's open every day between noon and 4 p.m. So please return 57 bus when you're able. And again, it is checked out in your name. So first, some follow-up from those sources from last time. There was women in leadership, women in the WNBA, other sources. So either question you can choose. How do pressures felt by women described in these resources, meaning the homework resources, compare with your own experiences? Or how do pressures felt by women compare to those felt by men as portrayed in the masks you live in, or by gender non-binary people as portrayed in Gender Revolution or the 57 bus? So please think about that for a minute and respond when you're able. Okay, let's start looking at some responses here. And again, please, as many of you as possible, let me give you another minute. Just think about it for a minute and then write. Okay, let's check some responses here. Okay. So, well, many people that don't know me think I'm an adult. Oh yeah, that's tough. You know what? Even from a young age, when kids are like physically big, sometimes people assume that they're older than they are. And so let's say a 3-year-old, they think they're 6 or 5 and they expect more out of them. And it's hard. I've had a lot of friends who have children that they feel like they get looks in society because their kid is behaving like a toddler and they think they're older. Big issue that women and people in general face is positive body image. Yeah, absolutely. Everybody. Pressures on myself and other young women. Since they're toddlers, a woman's value in society is based off of perceived attractiveness and damaging. Yeah. Yeah. And in other classes, some people were saying that they think women or girls feel like they have to like look a certain way or put on a show so that they're perceived as attractive, and that gets in the way of just their sense of self and of how they feel in school and all these things. Men face emotional pressures, yeah. Pressured into acting and being a certain way. Women face social pressures, physical pressures, pressures of needing to be prepared. Okay. That's an interesting idea there, needing to be prepared for what might happen. I wonder if you mean like to defend yourself. I feel like pressures felt by women are based more on appearance. Okay. And I'm sure it's true for a lot of people, regardless of where you're at on the gender spectrum. I was saying in 5th period, when my son was in like 2nd grade, my oldest son, 3rd grade maybe, came home talking about 6-packs and how he wanted a 6-pack, and I was like, what? And it came from school. It came from his buddies at school, and they were like comparing muscles, and they were so little. Different emotions. Women are pressured to care about how people view them. This causes more people to feel insecure. I also think if you all started talking to each other, you'd realize there's a commonality in a lot of those insecurities that you feel, regardless of who you are. Okay. I'll scroll through some more. We can read them. Yeah, this is an interesting one that nobody really talked about today so far. Women are pressured to be feminine, but if they're too feminine, they get made fun of, right? Young men are forced to be masculine, but if they fit feminine type, whatever that means, right? They get made fun of. Mm-hmm. Everyone deals with pressure, yeah, for sure, especially with identity formation. In a couple different classes, people were saying my natural body type isn't super thin. And so I feel like I look bad because I'm just who I am, which is really sad. And I think that's been around for a long time. I mean, to develop a healthy relationship with your body and a healthy relationship with food is so important because it's your whole life, right? It's like till you're very, very old, in your last breath, you'll have a relationship with these important things. And if we can help you find ways to nurture positive relationships, I think it's really important. I'm just going to scroll here and we can kind of skim them over. Yeah, it's interesting to read here. Exercise and being healthy more highlighted to women. I think that that might be true when it comes to like diet culture and all of the workout videos and stuff, but I think it's true for men too. Um, especially in terms of like lifting weights and, you know, all that stuff. Okay, I'm gonna hide those responses. Thank you for thoughtful responses. Let me just double check nobody's in the waiting room. I don't think so. Okay, good. Here we go, next one. Okay, segue into the adolescent brain. So this is where we give you a primer sort of, or some foundation so that you can start thinking about your own behaviors and about caring for yourself and having compassion for yourself. We're gonna do a little true false here about brain development. And I know some of you know these things already, and maybe you don't. There's no wrong answer, just do your best. At birth, the brain is fully developed, just like the heart, the stomach, etc. Getting a lot of responses already. Let's have more. True, false, true, false. At birth, the brain is fully developed. Don't worry about how you answer. We haven't studied this yet. False, you are right. And we've alluded to this before. So it is false. Most of the brain cells are formed before birth. Like there's tremendous brain growth in the womb, a lot. But many connections and whatnot are happening during the first 5 years of life, actually infancy into early childhood. So the government of California has something called First Five, which is parent education and health resources to try to give everybody like a really good fresh start and solid foundation in life, especially underserved communities. And we know now, and we didn't know when I was young, and I wish I knew it. I wish I knew these things. That the brain doesn't fully mature until about age 25, 26, or at least that's where our science tells us now. Next one, brain's development depends entirely on the genes you're born with. Think about nature, nurture. Your genes, your heredity, and the brain's development. Where are you at on this one? 10, 11, 12, 13, thank you. Let's get some more. Okay, let's check it out. Most people said false. It's totally fine. Whatever you said, you said. The answer is false. It is more than that. Of course, your genes matter, your biology matters, but nurturing, environment, experiences, socialization, all those things matter a tremendous amount too. Going back to that idea of First Five, it says here early experience and interaction with the environment are most critical, actually, more critical than genes in the early years. Let me just show you. Have you ever heard of First Five? Let me just show you their website real quick, if it's working. It was slow earlier. Oops, there's stuff in the chat. Let me see what. Oh yeah, no problem. Oh, and I'm gonna put this just in case, sorry, just in case anybody came in late. There's the, oops, why did that happen? I didn't want that to happen. Here, First Five California. They have commercials and things like that. It's part of the government of our state. And they have all of these resources. The Brighter Future starts here. So they're talking about parenting resources and developmental resources. Of course, things are COVID related right now, and then boosting a baby's brain. So it's all focused on the first 5 years of life and how tremendous an impact is so that every kid gets a good start. And I think it's a really nice organization. I'm glad our state prioritizes it. Okay, next. Toddler's brain is less active than the brain of a college student. What do you think? Again, Don't worry if you get it right, if you get it wrong. Just what do you think? Toddler's brain versus college kid. 14 responses. Let's get a couple more. Okay, let's check them out. You are right. Most of you, not all of you, and that's totally fine. Is that a 3-year-old toddler's brain is twice as active as an adult's brain. Okay, so if you think about this, there is just a tremendous amount of growth in those early years. So first of all, in the womb, when you're coming to be this human, and then over those years when, let me stop sharing for a second because I want to tell you a couple things right now.
I got confused. Like I said previously, I didn't know what you meant by active. I thought you meant like just thinking or whatever. So I was confused about that.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, someone was writing here privately in the chat that's why you can like soak up language when you're young. So the brain is just like exploding, like developing in these crazy ways. If you think about it, from I think I mentioned this before, brain developing sort of back to front, from first being able to walk. I mean, I'm a parent, so I know when a little kid realizes they have hands and they're like, oh, what are these? And then you can pick stuff up, and then you can run, and you can hit, and you can climb up to cabinets and open cabinets and throw things on the floor. I mean, it all happens so fast, and you can speak in complete sentences, and it just happens so fast. But here's and
Holy, that was okay. Nice. Well, we did it, boys.